Yes, my name is Matt. Really happy to be here with you on this Thursday evening. We are going to dive into week 16, week 2 of the playoffs. Hopefully you are there. And if you listen to our advice, well, who knows? Maybe you made it, maybe you didn't. In the one league that I'm in, I'm advancing, and that's really all that I care about. Before we jump into all of that, I do want to say a big thank you to everybody that comes and hangs out with us every week, all of our subscribers, those of you that hang out in the chat. You guys make it a lot of fun and make this really worth doing. As always, I'm joined by the Rock and Sock Connection, Kyle and Ramey. Ramey, how the hell you doing, brother?
I'm good. Matt. Doing well. I don't have fantasy football to pay attention to this weekend. Unfortunately, I lost my quarterfinal matchup by 4 last week, but still got a lot of football to watch. Got a good game tonight. Some games on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday with the Christmas holiday. So a lot of football all weekend is going to be fun. A lot of playoff implications that I'm sure we'll get into. Kyle, how are you doing?
Super great. Yep. Also looking forward to tonight's game. I think it'll be a good one. Definitely. We'll see who can affect the playoff picture in the NFC for these teams tonight. Yeah. I think it'll be a good one.
An elimination game.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are both teams? Both teams 7-7. Yeah.
It would help. It would help if
they are
standings.
Crown and 7.
They are. They're both 7-7. It just seems like the Rams are a better team, though. I know we're not really going to talk about this game, but Sean McVay's done a really nice job as coach this year. We talked about it a few weeks ago. I know the year he won the Super Bowl, obviously, was a really good year, but he seems to have done a lot more as far as developing talent, like guys like Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, and that defense and offensive line was pretty banged up. And outside of Aaron Donald, they don't have a ton of dudes on that defense, but Raheem Morris has gone in there and done a really nice job as defensive coordinator too. So really nice job by Sean McVay coaching this year.
Yeah, if you remember, we talked about how young this team was, especially on defense, and we assumed that they were going to struggle. And you're right, credit to Raheem Morris. It's looking like a no-name defense, rookie no-name defense back there. I don't know anybody's name other than Aaron Donald on that defense off the top of my head.
Yeah,
that's sad, but
yeah, is what it is. And I know we were even kind of surprised by their 3-3 start. It's like they've had a tale of 3 seasons. They're 3-3, and then they lost 3 in a row, then won 3 in a row. I'll always root for Matthew Stafford. He had some good years in Detroit, but he ends up coming to Detroit for the playoffs. His ass going to go home a loser.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Speaking of Detroit, they're playing the Vikings this week. Key divisional matchup.
They are out of order, you bastard.
I didn't know what the order was.
I said it. It's always right there in the banner.
Does that count as a swear?
I don't know.
Probably.
What I say?
Well, don't repeat it.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Go for it.
Okay.
I got to scroll to Lions.
You'll live.
You've got Kyle all messed up.
Flustered. Just 40 pages and notes. It was a natural transition.
You've wasted enough time. Let's go.
Don't test me today. Jared Goff's coming off an amazing game. He's going up against a Viking defense that just got lit up by Jake Browning. I think Goff is a low-end QB1 this week. The Vikings do blitz a lot. And Goff has thrown 5 of his interceptions against the blitz, so that's going to be really a big factor in how not only Goff, but the offensive line kind of handle that. Monty and Gibbs, they've got kind of a tough matchup themselves. Vikings allow the fewest points to running backs, but they do allow the 5th most receptions. So I think if anything, this is going to be a Gibbs game. That's where he's going to be able to really do his damage. I think Gibbs is a low-end running back 1. Monty's a mid to low running back 2 this week. He's going to be touchdown dependent. Hopefully he finds the end zone.
Yeah, let's go back. Let's just talk about some quarterbacks. Then we can go to running backs, then wide receivers or something. Because I feel like you just talk and then you list all the players from the Lions, and then we all got to circle back. And I forget what you say.
Oh, so the same thing you do? I mean,
yeah, that's correct.
You can just talk for me if you'd like.
It's going to be one of those nights. Mom and Dad are going to fight all night.
It's going to be one of those days.
You put it very kindly when you said the Vikings like to blitz a lot.
45% of the time of dropbacks.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
That is a lot. Oh, yeah. Kyle, what would you like to talk about? Quarterbacks?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Nick Mullins?
Yeah.
No.
Second consecutive start. Yeah, let's just talk about the Vikings. Why would we want to talk about the Lions,
Yeah.
right?
Who cares? Yeah. Where's Dubo at? Where's he at? We need him.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
Nick Mullins could have a decent game. Detroit has allowed a QB1 score 6 of their past 8 games. I don't know. They were aggressive with him. They threw a lot last week.
They did throw a lot, and they ran a lot too with my guy Ty Chandler. He had 23 carries for 132 yards. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Spoiler alert.
It's on the website already. It's been on there. Wow.
Yeah.
Nobody looks at that though, so nobody knows. Anyway,
no,
I'll shut up.
No, you're good. He did have a really good game last week, but I don't think that's going to continue. So I can basically do my deuce analysis right now. That Lions run defense is especially tough, and with the secondary being what it is, CJGJ is back, but they still give up a shit ton through the air. I think that's what the Vikings are going to focus on. So I don't look for Ty Chandler to have as good of a game. I look for Addison and Jefferson to have a pretty big game, but I hope that the Lions kind of stick with the game plan. Goff was efficient. Goff was under control. He took care of the ball. They ran it, not particularly. They ran it a lot, but they didn't run it so very well because I think Goff was just passing so well last week. But I look for them to continue that, and all they need is one, man. All they need is one win to lock up that playoff spot.
Magic number.
You mentioned Gibbs, Monty. They're still playing kind of the same amount of snaps. Last week was 34 Monty, 32 Gibbs. Man, Vikings are very good at explosive runs, stopping those. They're third in the league at that. But Detroit's rushing yardage this year, like 46% of it has come via explosive runs, 6th in the league. They're going to slow down that blitz by running the shit out of the ball. They have to.
Strength versus strength.
Yep. I think they have to. I think this matchup favors Gibbs. Vikings have been stout against the run, but still allowing over 9 points, receiving points per game to backs, 20th in the league. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. Matt? No, he's not going to talk. No.
May I talk about ARSB? Or
I heard his fee-fees. Yeah, go ahead. I love you. Go ahead.
So I really like ARSB's matchup. He plays a ton of time in the slot. Vikings play zone about 70% of the time because of all the damn blitzing. And anytime he's matched up against Josh Metellus, that is absolutely a win for him. The hell's his name? Holy shit. Sam Laporta. This could be like a dueling tight ends game almost. I mean, I don't trust Detroit's pass defense to stop anybody. But at the same time, like Sam Laporta has proven over the course of the season, not only just last week, but he's a badass in his own right. We got Dubo in the house. Yeah, what's going on, brother?
Yo, dudes.
You joined at perfect time. We're trashing your team.
Yeah, it's a TJ Hockenson revenge game.
It is.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Laporta's been great. But it's going to have a nice Iowa tight end battle, and I think Laporta's going to win that. We'll see. Minnesota plays a lot of cover 3. You mentioned ARSB earlier. Smashes cover 3. 2.74 yards per route run. Gets a target almost 27% of the time on cover 3. He gets a target almost 27% of the time, all the time. But he's a chain mover.
He's like,
gets the ball.
He's like Sex Panther.
And yes, 60% of the time it works every time. We talked about the blitz. St. Brown is 6th in the NFL in yards against the blitz at almost 400. And when Goff's been blitzed, St. Brown gets 29% of the team targets. I expect a good, heavy ARSB game. But the Vikings defense, watching them last week, they're pretty good. I worry.
Yeah. Are you guys? So I'm not going to speak it into. Well, I might. Who knows? We'll see. If the Vikings win this game, do you guys get nervous?
Yes, absolutely.
I want to win it now.
You're going to Minnesota, then you're going to go to Dallas, and Dallas has looked vulnerable the past few weeks, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But still, those are games on the road in a hostile environment. We've talked about Goff's home road splits. A lot of that is tied to playing outdoors. He's not a great outdoors, bad weather quarterback. That's just not his game. That said, I think Detroit is going to go in there and win that. They're going to wrap up the division this week there, Dubo. And really, it's all about, making sure you get to the playoffs healthy.
For sure. It is.
Yeah.
Minnesota's receivers, Addison, Jefferson. I think Addison, with the matchups, definitely a flex option this week. I don't want to go chasing last week's numbers, but against that secondary, even though they play better with some different folks in the backfield there in Detroit, I still think they're vulnerable.
They are. And we talked a little bit about Addison earlier this week too. Like, he's going to be a damn good receiver. JJ is going to see a lot of Sutton. It's not like Sutton is some kind of shutdown corner, but he's an above average guy, right? I think he'll hold his own. JJ is going to get his, and that's going to leave, some attention to be paid elsewhere. We talked about Hockenson earlier and Jordan Addison. You guys were correct. We're not going to go chasing last week's numbers, but at the same time, I'm confident starting him as a low to mid wide receiver too this week with some upside there just because of the challenges that Detroit has faced in their secondary all season long.
Yeah. And Addison really seems to have benefited from JJ's return. At least last week, it's a 1-game sample size. So easy for me to say. And, you're absolutely right. Those numbers make it really enticing to start him and rely on something close to those numbers again. But I think if he doesn't approach those, if he ends up with getting even 65 or 70 yards and a touchdown, I think you'd be happy to have him in your lineup. So, but I wouldn't look for the crazy amount. What do you have, like 130 and 2 touchdowns or something like that? I don't have it right offhand. But I think Jefferson's going to eat too. It seems like that Minnesota passing. I mean, easy. It's a low bar, but they looked a lot better with Mullins than they did with the Pasternaut. So I know you love that nickname.
That's so terrible.
Yeah. I saw he got last week. Even he was 3rd string quarterback, I think.
Yep. They really don't want his ass anywhere near the field.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're Josh Dobbs, you can't have a 4 interception game.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah. I think he leads the league in turnovers. I think he's tied with Jalen Hurts and a couple other guys.
Josh Allen and Sam Howell are up there.
Yeah.
I was just looking at our wide receiver rankings this week, and I decided to be a petty Betty, and I made sure to put ARSB 1 spot above JJ. I got him at 5 and 6.
Love it. I love it. All right, let's switch gears here. And I got to move my notes all around. We're going to the Ravens game, by the way.
What?
Yeah, we're switching.
Okay.
All right, Ravens headed to San Francisco. Matchup of the best league records, both 11-3. A stat I pulled out over the last 12 weeks, 49ers are first in the NFL in point differential at 161. Ravens are second at 140. This is going to be either a shitload of scoring or
no scoring,
or 14-11, with a Justin Tucker field goal or some shit. Brock Purdy, Jesus, dude. Guy's been on fire lately. 3 or more touchdowns in 4 of his past 6 games. After only doing that once the first 8 games of the season. He's been efficient back-end QB1 for fantasy this season. He's also had a pretty amazing schedule since the bye. Monday will be his first, real legit test since the front half of the season. I'm curious to see how he's going to do. The Ravens have only allowed just 2 QB1 scoring weeks this season. You can't discount Purdy, but I mean, Stafford just tore up them, threw 3 touchdowns against the Ravens. So who knows what'll happen?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Purdy's been on fire. He's the QB2 since week 11. He's essentially averaging 303 in that span, which is stupid. I mean, you're thrilled with that. He's a mid-ish QB1. We've got him here at 7, and I think that's about right. Baltimore does have a damn good defense, and this is going to be a big test for both teams.
If they're Purdy hasn't really had to play from behind. Most of his interceptions have came this season when behind. That's what I'm worried about. They need to come out strong, and that's the game he can play. And then they got all those they got the rest of the damn team playmakers. You just ride CMC all game.
Yeah. I was a little surprised that the line was set at 5, but I know it's in San Francisco, so that influences a little bit. It sucks that I think this would be a lot closer game if Keaten Mitchell hadn't got hurt last week. He seems to have really been coming into his own, especially considering that of course, I put the curse on him, saying that James Conner was going to be a deuce last week. The Niners gave up 234 yards on the ground against the Cardinals last week. So they need to tighten that up because Baltimore's going to look to run. I know we talked on Tuesday that they called what's that?
Melvin Gordon.
Yep. Thank you.
What's that dickhead's name?
Yeah, I was going to say it, but to help Gus out. But so look for the Ravens to try to kind of limit that San Francisco offense by running the ball as much as they can and kind of doing what Arizona did last week. So a couple other things. This is just a little fun fact. This is the latest in the season that teams with sole possession of the best record in each conference have played. 2005, the Seahawks beat the Colts in week 16. So,
no kidding.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
So, yeah,
we were talking about the.
Go ahead. No, you go.
Go ahead. No, I thought you had I'm shutting up. I didn't know you had a second thing.
Oh, I was just going to talk about the Ravens defense and how good they've been. They lead the league with 50 sacks. They're only 10 shy of the franchise record set in 2006. They've had a sack in 35 consecutive games, the longest active streak in the NFL. Kyle Hamilton is playing amazing. That defense, it kind of took a dip over the last couple of years, but it is back. It is ferocious. It's a big reason why they're so successful, especially with the way that Lamar plays and their focus on the run game. But that defense is legit.
It is. You talk about Kyle Hamilton. He's been outstanding this year. I do think Deebo is a bad matchup for him, though, when he lines up in the slot. Kyle Hamilton is a big corner, and Deebo, and I want to call his ass Dubo because I see it up here on the screen. He's just so damn quick and shifty that I think he could give Kyle Hamilton fits. And kind of pivoting to the run defense, over the last month, the Ravens are allowing less than 100 total yards to running backs, rushing and receiving. And they've only allowed 4 rushing touchdowns all season, which is just insane.
Yeah.
If there's ever a week for CMC to have a down week, it's this week. And coincidentally, I need that to happen because the team I'm playing in the playoffs has CMC. So the stars are aligning for me to defend my championship successfully.
Yeah.
We mentioned Keaten Mitchell's out. Probably going to go back to Gus Edwards. I'm thinking when it was just him and Hill earlier in the season, he handled 57% of the snaps, or the touches, I should say, playing alongside Hill. I think, Hill's a very low ceiling flex play this year. He, with Gus, you have that touchdown dependent, RB2 this week.
Yeah. I've got a couple questions in there.
Sure do. Search and Kill. Welcome to the show, man. Appreciate you stopping in. Do you trust Olave today or Addison? Yeah, it's funny. I just had the same kind of talk with the through a text earlier this today. My brother has a team, and he called to talk about it, and he had the same predicament: Olave or Addison, and against that Detroit secondary, you kind of look at Addison, but then I think tonight's game is going to be high scoring, and Olave's back, and Michael Thomas is out. And what do you guys think?
Derek Carr. I know we talked about this, and you almost had me convinced to go with Olave, but I'm going to stick with Addison. I think he's going to benefit again from having Jefferson and Mullins in there at quarterback. Olave coming off that ankle injury, I know he's playing, but is he 100%? Will it impact his ability to get loose? And Derek Carr, if Jameis were in there, we've talked about this before. If Jameis were playing, I think I'd lean more towards Olave, but because it's Carr and it's a short week, it's a short week for both teams, but I think it being a short week, I'm going to stick with Addison against that Detroit secondary.
I'm going to say Olave. And sorry, search and kill. We're giving you a split decision here. Look, this is the time of year when targets matter, and I see Chris Olave getting more opportunities than what Jordan Addison is going to get, and that's what's going to lean me that way.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that as well. He's going to get more volume with those targets, but I don't hate Addison either this week. Still, yeah. I don't, but I'd go Olave. Great question.
They're both decent wide receiver 2 options.
There. Yeah, everybody, a few other people are having that same situation, search and kill, and it's tough, but I like Olave as well. Great question, man. If you haven't, give us a like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Dubo, you like Ayuk in this game? He's one of really the toughest wideouts to rank because there's such a gap between his talent and his opportunity. And Baltimore is probably one of the most diverse defensive units in the league under Mike McDonald. It's tough. They've only allowed just 5 wide receiver 1 scoring weeks on the season. Matt might have mentioned that earlier, but they did just give up top 24 weeks to 3 wide receivers 2 weeks ago.
So I'm going to say this, and in full transparency, we've got Deebo at 9 and we've got Ayuk at 11 in our rankings. I have a feeling this is going to be more of a Deebo game because Brandon Ayuk is one of the best blocking receivers in the league. And given how well the Ravens rush defense has been this season, and particularly over the last month, I think he's going to be used more in a blocking role than he has in weeks past.
I agree with Samuel. His targets, 39% of them come behind the line of scrimmage, which makes him so unique in what he can do. But you got Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith who can move side to side. So it's definitely a great matchup.
I can't believe the Bears let him go.
Oh, wow.
I mean, their defense is already really good, and if they still had him, I don't think they'd be that much better of a team.
Yep.
I'd rather have the draft capital. They come down to they didn't want to pay him.
Yeah. But then they turned around and paid Montez Sweat, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and he's done a nice job for him, but that's beside the point. That's not what we're talking about right now.
And the thing about Dubo too is 31% of his fantasy points come from touchdowns. So
Dubo's fantasy points or Deebo's?
Yes, points? Yeah, Deebo. Yeah, see, we all keep fucking it up. Deebo's directly from touchdown trails only Courtland Sutton among wide receivers, so you need him to get in the end zone for sure. O'Dell, garbage. He's questionable anyway.
I like Isaiah Likely this week
for sure. He's a weekly tight end 1 from here on out, I think.
Yeah, he was tight end 3 the past couple of weeks. The Niners are vulnerable to the tight end. And over the past couple of weeks, he's averaging 38 routes run and 7 targets. He's hauling in a 25% target share. And for a dude who was the backup tight end, you're not really seeing it, at least over the past few weeks, a drop off in what you were getting from Mandrews. And he's finding the end zone. Granted, one of them was on a broken play, but they all count.
Okay, they all count. Yeah, he's run a route on almost 88% of dropbacks since Andrews went down. The fucker's out there. And that's what you need. It is a tougher assignment against San Francisco. They only allow a league low 6.1 yards per target to tight ends, but the past couple weeks though, that was an easily exploitable matchups. So 49ers are a lot tougher.
One thing to mention, I think whoever ends up winning this game, whether it's the 49ers or the Ravens, the quarterback that is on the winning team is going to come out as the MVP favorite. Purdy and Lamar are both are the two have the best odds to win MVP this year. Lamar's at plus 450, so there might be a little bit of value there, especially if he ends up winning. If the Ravens end up winning this game.
Dubo's in the chat. With all this wide receiver talk, he has options for his championships. He needs to sit one out of Olave, Rashee Rice, Brandon Ayuk, and Adams.
Devontae.
They play the Chiefs.
That's my first thought too.
At Arrowhead. Yeah, that's my first one as well. Chiefs defense is good.
That's crazy to say.
It is. I mean, and it's crazy that we've said it several times this season too. That's my gut reaction. Part of me wants to say Ayuk, just because
you love him.
I do, and I've been high on him all season. I was high on him in the preseason, but going back to what Search and Kill was asking about, and the reasoning I gave there was targets.
Yep.
And I could see Devontae Adams getting the most targets of that entire group. And I could easily see Ayuk getting the fewest.
Yeah. Ayuk is running 27.5 routes per game. That's wide receiver 69. And he's averaging 6.5 targets per game. So you're kind of talking me into Ayuk right now. This week.
Ayuk is on the bench as of right now, he says. I think that's the right move.
I think it is. Yeah. And I think we tricked ourselves with the Adams thing and the Chiefs, but I think Ayuk is the right move.
See, that's why we talk it out, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Good luck, Dubo, man. Not in the Vikings-Lions game. Not good luck in that. Good luck in your
Good luck against the Ravens per us.
Right. Let's see. Let's roll to a new game. Anything else? This is a big one.
Yeah.
Both 10-4. Call about Cowboys. The Cowgirls travel to Miami to take on the Dolphins. Miami's favored by 1 at home. Totals at 50. I think that's about right. It could go over, or Dallas could look like shit. The problem is this is the game that Miami could maybe quiet the crowd about. They haven't won against teams with winning records. They got 3 games currently against teams with winning records, 29th in the league. They're 0-3 in those games.
They were all on the road though. This one's at home, so
if
they get a chance to play a good team.
A lot of their big games were on the road, so I agree.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
Yeah, I think this game, whoever's comes out of this game losing, it's going to be the talk all next week. If the Cowboys lose, everybody loves to talk about the Cowboys either way. But if the Cowboys lose, they can't win on the road. They can only win at home. They can't beat good teams on the road. Dolphins, it's going to be the same thing. If they don't win, it's going to be, they can beat bad teams, but can they beat anybody in the playoffs? And I think it's going to be really fun to watch. I think it's going to go over the 50. I think it's going to go over. The Dolphins defense isn't as good as the Bills defense is, especially how they're playing right now. Waddle is coming off his best game of the season. I know Tyreek Hill's back, or at least he practiced today. Waddle caught 8 passes for 142 yards and had a 60-yard touchdown catch. So they really beat up on the Jets last week when I thought it was going to be a lot closer based on my lock of the week. So, but Waddle's averaging almost 14 yards per reception, and he has at least 50 yards in his last 5 games. I'm sorry. So even when Tyreek was in there, Waddle wasn't suffering as far as production.
It was, and Mike McDaniel did a very good job combating that deficiency with not having Tyreek Hill. You can't pressure the Buccaneers quarterback when he doesn't have the ball. They got the ball out 2.14 seconds, fastest on Sunday out of all the teams. It makes sense to kind of do that strategy again this week against the Cowboys. They're getting
It does.
pressure on quarterbacks on a league high 47% of dropbacks. I would expect the ball to come out quickly. And Miami's offensive line is fucking battered. 4 of their starting offensive linemen are questionable as of this afternoon.
That sounds like a bad thing.
It's not good.
Hey,
So-
Cowboys, they're 4th best against the QB the past few weeks, giving up 12.5 points a game. Look, Tyreek is going to play, or at least it's looking that way. He was a limited participant today. The Cowboys play the most man coverage in the NFL, about 65%, give or take. Bland is not going to keep up with Tyreek. Old ass Gilmore is not going to keep up with him or with Jalen Waddle. Ramey, I agree. I think this game goes over. We've kind of talked about this a little bit the past few weeks as well. The Cowboys are vulnerable on the ground right now.
Oh, totally. James Cook tore him up.
James Cook tore him up. They're 22nd against running backs the last 2 weeks. 4th worst in yards per carry, 5.6 yards a carry. And that is essentially saying that every time somebody runs against the Cowboys, you're getting Jahmyr Gibbs. Just think about that for a second and where they were earlier in the season when everybody feared that defense.
Yeah.
Now it's, and here's the thing, their best run stuffer was Leighton Vander Esch, and he's done for the year.
Yeah. You don't think McDaniel watched that Bills game and went,
Okay, H-Chan, get ready. H-Chan, Mostert.
Get ready. But again, that offensive line, I was looking at injuries today. I'm like, oh shit, that's could have a fucking impact. It did last week.
Comment.
A couple of them. Yeah, I see that. I saw it. If we both win this week, Vic, it will be me and you, and that's my nickname, Ramey. You probably didn't know that. Both be me and you in the
what
finals.
Matt told me your nickname was.
Repeat of a couple weeks ago. Couple weeks ago, a couple years ago, maybe. Yep, I got to beat Drew. Drew's Dumpster Fire, Melting Snowman, and Brandon and AJ. They're like close. It's their matchup's close. Mine, I'm a little bit underdog, but I'm gonna win because Tyreek's back, baby. The offensive line did kind of affect Mostert last week on Sunday. He only averaged 0.47 yards before contact per carry. His season average is 1.5, which is just sick. So it's gonna be tough. And Pollard, that's a good Miami run defense. 8th in the league at yards per carry to running backs. They've only allowed 11 rushing points per game to backs, 12th in the league. You definitely need Pollard to get in the end zone.
Vic Fangio's quietly done a nice job down there in Miami getting that defense in shape. The beginning of the year, that was their clear weakness. Like they could score with anybody, but they could also give up a ton of points. But as the year's gone on, it's just gotten better and better. And it's kind of the opposite for the Cowboys.
Well, I mean, getting Jalen Ramsey back definitely helps. He's
For
been
huge,
outstanding since he got back. And the Dolphins' pass defense has kind of been an enigma over the past few weeks because they're giving up about 300 yards a game, but only 1 touchdown, and they've got like 5 picks.
They've had an extremely tough slate of quarterbacks over that stretch, though.
But still, you would think if you're giving up 300 yards a game, you're going to be finding the end zone as well.
Yeah, I mean, outside of that first half against Mahomes and the last few minutes against Levis, they've been pretty fucking solid over the last 7 weeks. So,
crazy to see the season he had. I know I left Mostert on the bench a couple times. We've been there. I mean, something like 20 touchdowns this year, which is just insane.
He's at 20. Him and
31-year-old running back. Journeyman.
CMC and him are tied at 20, I think.
Is that a question or statement?
Question.
Either way, I don't know. I can't remember offhand.
So this is a really big opportunity for both teams, really, but especially Miami. Miami wins. You got Baltimore going to San Francisco, as we talked about earlier. Those two teams play each other next week. So Miami has an opportunity to be tied with Baltimore for the first seed in the AFC and get that first round bye, with a game at Baltimore next week. I wonder if that'll get flexed to Sunday night. It's a 1:00 game currently, but big opportunity for Miami to quiet a lot of the doubters.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Despite how well that Miami defense has played, though, CeeDee Lamb is still in elite play. Tony Pollard is still an RB1. He's a back end RB1.
And I think, Ferguson, Miami's not so great against tight ends. They're middling, but Ferguson's a fine play again this week at tight end.
Yeah.
He gets 26% of the red zone targets in Dallas. That's 4th among tight ends on the season. That's what you need, baby.
Yeah. I know nobody really likes to talk about Mike McCarthy too much for whatever reason, but Kellen Moore was the golden boy as far as offensive coordinators, and they got rid of him, and Mike McCarthy has made that offense even more dynamic and really helped CD become a superstar that everybody thought he was going to be coming out of college. And Dak, I mean, he's in line to possibly be an MVP. Last week hurt him, no doubt, but get back on track this week. But credit to Mike McCarthy for getting that Cowboys offense to another level.
Agreed. I don't know how strong Brandon Cooks probably isn't a great play this week. He's kind of faded out. Only had 2 of 6 for 10 yards last week. He's got to get in the end zone. That's his whole thing. He's finished fine when he scored, 20 wide receiver 20 or better in weeks he's scored, and he's just horrible when he doesn't. So,
yeah.
All right.
Did you see the quote? I like Mike McDaniel. And did you see the quote he had today when they were talking about playoff seeding? He was asked, about kind of they're the number 2 seed right now and the implications of this game, and he told the reporters he gave the entire team clearance to tell the media, with all due respect, F off. With all due respect.
Nice. With all due respect. Having said that question,
yeah, no offense, but
right.
Per my previous email,
right. Let's see here. Where are we at? Colts headed to Atlanta. What's going to happen, Ramey?
Colts are going to go down and win.
I see Taylor Heinicke's back for the remainder of the season. Art Smith said
Taylor
going to be the start. Taylor, yeah, my bad. I said Tyler. Yeah.
Couple of backup quarterbacks.
Yep.
I mean, that's easy to say. You say that in about half the games that are being played this week. But yeah, Minshew played really well last week. Maybe I should have made him a deuce again. Colts have won 5 of 6. They're tied with the Texans and the Jags for first in the AFC South. They're 8-6 right now. Falcons have benched, as you mentioned, they benched Desmond Ridder, who just looked awful last week, and Taylor Heinicke moves into the starting role. And this is kind of a last-ditch effort for the Falcons at 6-8. They've got 2 teams ahead of them in the NFC South that are 7-7. If they're going to save their season and Art Smith's job, they pretty much need to win out. This game, while important for the Colts, isn't crucial if they go down there and lose, because it's a interconference game. They're playing a team from the other conference. So
yes.
When it comes down to playoff tiebreakers and the fact that the Colts play the Texans the last week of the season, they still have a pretty good chance. I think it's in the 80s as far as their chance to get into the playoffs if they lose this game. So would like to go down and see them win. I'm concerned. We were talking about before we got on here, the line has moved in this game. It opened, I think, with Colts -2, and it was Falcons -1 as early as this afternoon. So it's moved a ton, and not sure why. There's not really any news out if Minshew got hurt in practice or if there's an illness going through the team. But it's kind of the same script as the game against the Steelers. Get to 20 and you're probably going to win, because the Falcons can't score any points. I sent you guys a text last night. Art Smith has never scored 30 points as Falcons coach. So get into the 20s and play defense. And I think that's the formula to win.
Hard to score that when you give your superstar running back 8 total fucking touches last week. It's just unfucking believable that he's back to this shit again. I
Don't forget
get it.
about your superstar tight end too. That you
Right.
just
You do
completely
need
ruined.
Atlanta to score first if you're the Colts, because they're 6-0 when the other team has scored
Hell
first this
yeah.
season. Third that's highest in the league. Minshew, dude, we mentioned him. He's QB2, been solid, averages 15.6 fantasy points a couple weeks ago. I would have taken that from a quarterback in a matchup I had when I shit.
Matt would have taken
it's
it.
tough. But
Yeah,
Atlanta has not allowed a touchdown pass in 4 of their past 6 games. Yeah, they're playing better.
Something I found interesting about Gardner Minshew. So he's the QB9 over the last 3 weeks. He's got 6 touchdowns and just 1 pick. However, the Falcons are top 10 in yards per attempt and completion percentage.
Yep.
Gardner Minshew has 500 more yards passing on the road than he does at home this season.
That's so weird. They haven't been very good at home.
No, they have not. Is Jonathan Taylor coming back this week?
I think so. That's what I'm trying to do. I was trying to pull up the injury report. I know he was a full participant yesterday.
He was a full participant without the red non-contact jersey, so he's a full go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was listening to a local radio show this afternoon, and they were talking about how they're looking for a glove or a wrap or something that kind of helps him protect that thumb, but still allows him to grip the ball. From what everybody has said, it wasn't a pain tolerance issue. It's just physically being able to hold the ball. So I'm imagining they put him through the ringer in practice today, trying to smack the ball out of his hand and make sure that he could hold on to it. But that's a huge help for Indy, because Zack Moss did not practice yesterday and he's questionable. I wish I had an updated injury report, but he's questionable for Sunday. I clicked on the wrong link.
I think it'll be tough for any Colts running back. The Falcons have still not allowed a running back to score a rushing touchdown this season. If anybody can do it, JT's a good damn bet, though.
Yep. And I think Michael Pittman's questionable. I don't know if he'll come back and play on Sunday, but if he does, that's a huge help for the Colts.
It is. Atlanta's been pretty tough on lead wideouts, 4th in points allowed per game to wide receiver 1 targets. It's going to be a tough matchup. Drake London, I don't really love this. God, I'm so tired. I got to trust him again this week after he went off a couple weeks ago.
He's better at home than on the road.
He is, but Indy runs cover 3 56% of the time, and London against cover 3 this season's only been targeted 15% of the time. Not good.
I kind of like Josh Downs this week.
Yeah, just
going up against Mike Hughes there in the slot. I think he's more of like a DFS play, or he's a desperation flex. But considering what you've got for him over the last several weeks, he's not been playable at all. I think if there's ever a week for him to rebound, I think this is the week. Especially if Pittman is out, they're really going to need him. I understand with JT coming back, he can help carry some of that load coming out of the backfield. But he's a good receiver. He's not great. Josh Downs, like I said, he's been down, and maybe it's time for him to pick back up a little bit.
47% of wide receiver receptions against Atlanta have come via the slot, 4th highest in the league. So they are tight. They are good against outside receivers, 3rd in the league in yards per target, but 23rd to the slot, 23rd in yards per target to slot receivers. So
yeah,
maybe he'll have a bounce back game.
The 44.5 seems high.
It does.
It'll go over. All your games, like the last 4 games, that went over for you guys. 4 straight games have gone over, and you have a league high 10 games that have gone over the total this season.
I think awesome. I just keep trying to say that they're going to play like shit, and then they don't. So Gardner Minshew sucks. He holds onto the ball too long. What do I know?
Yeah. I think if Bijan gets 15 touches this week, he's going to be an RB1. The Colts are allowing 127 yards per game. They've given up 20 rushing touchdowns this season, which is the second most. They give up the sixth most points per running backs per game over the last 5 weeks. Like, I don't, we can go on and on and on about Arthur Smith and his deficiencies as a play caller, but like you would think at some point it's just got to click. Like, this is where you can attack the Colts and you should have sustained success throughout the entire game.
Yeah. That cover 3 with Pitts, that he might have a decent game if they could just get him the fucking ball.
So I finally was able to find what I was looking for. Michael Pittman was a full participant in practice today.
Oh,
was he really?
Yeah.
That's fast.
Yeah.
That is fast. That is. What do we got?
Zack Moss did not practice.
Nice. Hey, Steven, how you doing? Welcome back. My 2-week champ. God, I hate 2-week championships. I don't like them. My 2-week champion starts today. My QB, Herbert, injured. Start Mayfield or Stafford. I have Kupp and Kyron Williams. If that changes anything. I wish I would have started Baker Mayfield last fucking week.
This seems like a Baker Mayfield letdown game, though. I think I'd go with Stafford. Especially if you can double him up with Kupp.
What's our rankings at here, man? I was trying to pull it up here.
I'm going with Baker. I think this is a game. It's one of those sneaky shootout, decent offense, shitty defense games that always go over the total. The Jags have struggled against QBs or in the past season long.
Yeah, you're right.
They're giving up 22 points a game over the last 5 weeks. Don't get me wrong. I love Matthew Stafford. I think he's going to have a good game. I think Baker Mayfield has a chance at another blow-up game, not necessarily to the degree he had, last week or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I would be confident in expecting at least 275 and 2 out of him, maybe more.
It's interesting. I mean, he has done well. QB1 score in 5 of their 6 games. Baker has, but and Jacksonville has been weak, but they've faced Purdy, Stroud, Lamar, Jake Browning, Flacco. Had some decent passers in there that have all scored 20 or more fantasy points. Again, like Baker's just not in that echelon of quarterbacks. But
so the only argument I'll make, I guess I made a different argument or another argument because I said I thought he was going to have a letdown, but Trevor Lawrence is questionable. And if he doesn't play for the Jaguars, it may not have the opportunity to be a shootout.
I get that, but at the same time, through the air is how you beat Jacksonville. They are a very stout rush defense this year.
They are.
You know, that's where I'm going to attack, especially on the outside. I think Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both have fantastic matchups this week. I'm liking Baker Mayfield and really that whole Buccaneers offense.
Yeah, I'll second Baker Mayfield. I don't think Stafford's going to have a bad game. It is the Saints, Steve, but they've struggled a bit lately with some injuries and stuff. But yeah, I'll lean towards Baker. In our rankings this week, which you can find on our website, stonedownsportspodcast.com, we got Stafford at 10 and Baker at 11. So very close.
You know what? That sounds like a great way to transition into our last game.
It does. I was thinking the same thing. Go for it.
Yeah. Jags Bucks. I was just looking up Trevor Lawrence's injury status. He did not practice today either with a concussion, and I think the only quarterback to come back same week was Purdy. Is that right? I know we've talked about this before. There's only one quarterback this year that has come back the next week after suffering a concussion. So Trevor Lawrence may be out. The Jags are kind of falling apart right now. Etienne hasn't looked great for a while. That offense, something's going on with it. It's taken a clear step back this year from last year. The Bucks are playing well, and they're also playing for their playoff lives. So it should be a fun game. The over-under at 41 after just what we talked about with Baker and potentially being able to light that up. I'd look for that maybe to go over. But but Tampa's favored for a reason with Lawrence out and just the Jags kind of struggling right now, maybe falling out of first place with a loss this week.
Excellent. Yeah, it's going to be CJ beat
Thank
hard
you.
this week. I love that thing. We talked about Baker already. You know what? Rachaad White.
Yeah.
Gonna have a test this weekend against Matt mentioned that stout Jacksonville defense. They only allow 3.85 yards per carry to running backs, 7 in the league. But the Jaguars have been crushed by running backs through the air. 11.8 receiving points per game to running backs, 31st in the league. Definitely White would be a fucking wide receiver. No, running back 1. I can't talk today. Definitely gets I can't even talk. He gets elevation in a full PPR format. Definitely volume-based RB1 this week. Now that I could finally spit that out.
Thanks for that. I do find it interesting, though, that he's only had 2 targets in 3 of his last 4 games, but he is averaging 12.78 yards per reception over his last 4, and he's got 20 carries in his last 3. So he's getting all the volume there.
I think he did. I kind of think that he may not have had as many targets lately is because Baker's really developed a good rapport with, he's had Mike Evans all year, but last week, Chris Godwin really blew up finally. So Baker's throwing the ball downfield, and they're not really having to throw the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah, Rachaad White, I think he's a top 5-ish play, somewhere in that 5 to 8 range. Somebody you're happy to trot out there. Etienne, I don't feel the same about, though.
No. Does he become the Florida Tony Pollard? He's so touchdown dependent. That's my nickname for him.
Yeah, he's not had 100 total yards or 20 plus touches in his last 3 weeks, and it comes down to the touchdowns. Now, in 2 of those games, he did score, and it's great when it happens. But I don't know. There's just that offense feels strange, and you were talking about Trevor Lawrence, like he's the QB1 over the past 5 weeks. He's gone over 250 yards in 5 straight. Just.
That's weird.
I don't know how to explain this so it'll make sense to somebody else, but just it feels like it's ringing hollow. Like, you're putting up these numbers, but it's not translating to the result that you're looking for. They've lost 3 in a row.
Yeah. It's great for fantasy. This is a fantasy podcast, but I totally get it. At least he stays active because he's gets so many Etienne, back to Etienne. He gets so many damn touches. I'm not advocating to not start him this week. Definitely.
Yeah.
No, he's one of the people that got you here if you're in the playoffs.
For sure.
I'm really surprised this number's only 2. Christian Kirk, we all know, is out, but Zay Jones is out too. So Calvin Ridley and Evan Ingram are going to have to kind of carry the load. They've got Parker Washington that's played a little bit, but Ridley's had 9 games this year with fewer than 55 yards. He only had 39 yards last week against Baltimore. It's when you said that Lawrence was a QB1 over the last 5 weeks, like it doesn't seem right because that offense isn't particularly fun to watch. It doesn't seem explosive. You look at the score after the game, like it's not like they're scoring a shit ton of points, but he's getting yards and he's getting fantasy points. It's just not translating. It's kind of, it was like the Ty Chandler thing. It's kind of the inverse of it. Ty Chandler was good for the Vikings up until last week. He did well fantasy too, but he's good for the Vikings, but bad for fantasy. Lawrence is kind of the opposite. He's really good fantasy, but he's not helping his team win.
Yeah. You were talking about Calvin Ridley. Like, I understand he's going to be their best receiver out there. And when it comes to physical tools, he usually is every week. He has 25 targets over the past 2 games, and he's turned that into 93 yards.
Mm-hmm. He's not good when he's the best receiver on the field. Like he spent years, no fault of his own. He had Julio Jones on the other side, so he benefited from that. And he had a couple really good years, but he has shown that when he's the wide receiver 1 for your team, he doesn't produce at a wide receiver 1 level.
You sound like the short I put out about him before the season started,
Yeah.
where I warned people not to take him at his ADP.
Yeah, I remember.
And everybody looked smart after week 1, and that was pretty much it.
I mean, if Lawrence plays, you play him just because of the target volume. You know, it could manifest into another spike week with him. So, holy cow, it's 7:54.
Woo!
Hey, you can tell time.
Yep, it's good. Let's
Where's
roll.
the big hand?
Right, let's roll. Oh, we got a comment. Oh,
look who it is.
Yays.
Mr. Johnny come lately.
Just stumbling in from the beach.
Glad you had a safe return trip back to the homeland there. He needs some help. Shoot, man. We're here for you. Always will be. Well,
let's do our aces and deuces.
Kind of overpromising there, Kyle.
I know. Yeah, we'll see if he comes back here. If anybody would like to go first, that's cool. I don't care.
I'll go.
All right.
My first ace is Bears quarterback Justin Fields. He's really been playing well as of late, and against the Cardinals defense at home, I look for him to continue that. He's really been doing well on the ground, and he and DJ Moore have really connected and scored a ton of points. So I think he's going to have a really good week this week. And just full disclosure, anybody listening, flip these. So Justin Fields is going to have a terrible game based on how I do these. So my second ace. I'm sorry.
Let me cut you off 1 second to get Blue Yays thing in here.
Sure.
So 2 out of 3. DK, Hopkins, or Jacobs / Jahmyr White.
Let me see here.
Blue Yays coming in with that hard hitting shit at the end of the episode.
Jacobs did not practice today. So
I mean, you got DK against the Titans pass.
I would take DK because, you know, DK.
Yep. Yeah, I'll go.
We'll do a little combo here. I would take DK because he's going against that Titans secondary. That's their weakness. The pass is where you get points in fantasy. So I would take DK, and that's why he's my ace.
And Josh Jacobs didn't practice today.
That's not the most amazing matchup against Kansas City, regardless of who it is.
And it's a Monday game. So
right.
You roll with it. You're fuck yourself. I go DK and Hopkins.
Well, he's got Jahmyr White.
I still don't like the matchup there.
He's handcuffed himself. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, I'm going DK and Hopkins as well.
I think that game has a sneaky chance of being a little bit of a shootout.
Sure.
Seattle and Tennessee.
It's possible. I mean, Seattle needs it. They're fighting for their playoff lives, and you've got Will Levis trying to prove he deserves to be the starter next year, utilizing the best weapon he's got.
Well, and I think that's why it has a chance to be a shootout. I'm sorry, Kyle.
No, you're good. I'm rooting for Tennessee because I don't want to make the playoffs. I don't want to, as a Lions fan, I don't want to meet them at all. George plays back. Needs 2. Welcome back, sir. Needs 2. Waddle, Olave, Cup, Standard League.
Waddle's in for me.
Yep.
Damn, and now it comes down to Olave and Cup.
Non-PPR. So you're looking for yards. I think the way Cup's, I can't believe I'm saying
you're looking for touchdowns.
Yeah, really? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I go with Cup because I think he's been hot lately and he's back as long as he's healthy. He's been playing really well. Stafford and him have that rapport. I think I'm going to go Cup. I know you guys are probably going to say Olave.
I'm going to agree with you and take Cup.
Yeah, it is.
In a standard league.
Yep. Agreed.
Good luck, George.
Yeah, good luck, man. Blue Jays start DK, and then I can't make that decision until Sunday. Maybe some more news about Jacobs will be out by then.
Yeah.
I don't even, if he's active, I still think I'm going to go the same way. It is rough that that's in that same game. Well,
it is.
It's tough. Are those games all after Tinker time?
Yeah. every game on Sunday. Oh, I guess there's Saturday games. I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
that's Bengals, Steelers, Bills, Chargers. So that doesn't
Okay,
affect that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see 11:30 with the same question, Blue Jays.
Let's put a pin in it,
right.
as they say.
All right, continue, Mr. Ramey.
I finished. DK.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh.
he's my ace. We talked about DK and just that Titan secondary is the weakness of their defense. So I think Geno looks to be back this week. I think that DK will go off.
Sweet. I'll go now. My first ace is, we talked about him earlier, Bijan Robinson. Colts are allowing the fourth most points to running backs. They've given up just buckets of rushing yards and points to everyone not named the Steelers. He's at home. I think this is going to be a good game. So let's roll with Bijan there. And then my second one is Raheem Mostert.
It's a good one.
James Cook just abused the shit out of the Cowboys, and they're vulnerable on the ground just due to really the play of their linebackers. They are not great against the run. Mostert's one of the most explosive backs in the league, and this is a game where the Dolphins are looking for a statement win.
Good pick, man. Good pick.
Yeah, I like those. Don't like the first one.
My first ace is there. It finally comes onto the screen. Jake Browning, backup QBs, averaged 23 fantasy points in 3 games. The Steelers aren't a slam dunk, but either were the Vikings last week either. Pittsburgh's allowed the 10th most touchdowns since week 11. I just keep riding the hot hand with Jake Browning.
Yeah, that
Another
defense was
comment.
playing
Oh,
well,
that was just a
but they seem to
Yes.
kind of just broke because that offense is so dreadful.
Yeah. My second ace is Bills running back James Cook. Ever since Joe Brady took over why is it not coming on the screen? Jeez, stakes. Why is there a delay?
It's there. I see it.
Yeah, now it is. He scored 16 or more fantasy points in every game since Joe Brady took over. The tough matchups are gone now against the Jets, Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys. Now he gets the Chargers. I expect a ton of production.
Nice.
Blue
Jays, good luck this weekend, boys. He's favored in his semifinal, going for a three-peat.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Good luck, Blue Jays. We're in your corner, brother.
Yep.
Hell yeah, dude.
All right, I'll go quick because I know we're getting late. So my first deuce is Commanders wide receiver Terry McLaurin. I know he had a good game last week, but I don't look to see that continue. Sam Howell didn't play very well, and they're playing the Jets this week. So that Jets defense got beat up in Miami last week, and I think they're going to be looking to prove something this week. And while I don't think that they win the game, I don't really care who wins the game. It's going to be a crappy game, but I don't think Terry McLaurin does anything against Sauce Gardner and that Jets defense. So this one hurts my heart, guys. My second deuce, Vikings running back Ty Chandler. Going against Detroit's run defense, I just don't think he's going to have the success that he did last week against the Bengals. Played really well, but I don't look forward to continue, especially from a fantasy perspective. I think Madison is still out, but he's trending in a better direction than he was last week. So it's possible, even if Madison plays, that he ends up splitting carries, and that hurts his production even more. I just don't think Ty Chandler is going to continue that trend. As much as I'd like to say that, because I look so smart for actually getting one right last week, Ty Chandler's my deuce.
Damn, I've gone for runs that have taken longer than the time you spent on the Ty Chandler bandwagon there. So
yeah,
that was quick. All right. My morning deuce is Giants running back Saquon Barkley. The Eagles defense has been tough against the run all year. The Giants lately, I feel like they're getting shit done with smoke and mirrors. I think the Eagles defense is going to look at this as a get right game. And I think Saquon Barkley is going to be the victim of that. My second deuce is Javonte Williams going up against a tough run D for the second week in a row. His snaps and attempts have actually been declining over the past several weeks. Trend is looking down there. I'm not looking for a whole lot of scoring to happen in that game. The Patriots defense has been damn tough over the past month. So yeah, that's my second one.
Nice.
Cool. Excellent. My first ace is Commanders QB Sam Howell.
If he starts.
If he starts, yeah, maybe Brissett. We'll see. He visits the Jets. They rank in the top 3 in fewest passing yards, touchdowns, and fantasy points allowed to QBs. And then next week they face the 49ers. So it's time to just move on from that fucker. My second one is Browns running back Jerome Ford. I get it. He's a safe floor option. He's not top 15 points since week 7, but he's only been held to single digits twice in that span. But Houston's given up the 4th fewest rushing yards on the season. Since week 11, they've only allowed 2.9 yards per carry to back. And they just shut down Derrick Henry last week for the first time in a long time. So
they've quietly
without
been
a touchdown,
pretty damn good defense.
Yeah.
They have. Without a touchdown, I mean, Ford's looking at another single digit fantasy day.
D'Amico Ryan's doing a nice job down in Houston. Wish he wasn't.
Absolutely.
All right, my lock. Surprise! It's actually moved up to 3 within the last few minutes or hour at least. Browns
No
minus
kidding.
2.5 at Texans. Yeah, I'm surprised it's not. You're going to want to jump on this now because I think it's going to continue to move. CJ Stroud is out with a concussion. He did not practice. I should say he's likely to be out again on Sunday. The nice thing is Nico Collins is trending in the right direction. He was a limited participant in practice today, but the problem is Noah Brown was also a limited participant in practice today. So that with Case Keenum there at quarterback, that Browns defense is good and Flacco's been playing well. So I don't think that the Browns are going to go down there and win. I don't think that they're going to win by less than 3. I think they're going to go down there and win by a touchdown or so, actually.
Nice. My lock. Seahawks. This is another line that moved, was 2.5. Now they're minus 3 at the Titans. Should have Geno Smith back this week. That Titans just entire defense has been in disarray the past couple of weeks. And I think that is a recipe for disaster with them. That trio of wide receivers is playing pretty well. And I really don't think anyone is going to have an answer on defense for what Seattle's going to come to town with.
Yeah. They really fell apart once Jeffrey Simmons got hurt.
Yeah, they
Titans
did.
Defense.
So hopefully I don't get another damn push.
That was a big loss.
Yeah.
My betting lock of the week is the Bengals minus 2.5 at Pittsburgh. Jake Browning's been on a tear. Steelers are, kind of reeling. Losers are their last 3. Mason Rudolph's going to start. Pickett, I think, is out. Not to mention they got players kind of shying away from, effort and blocking. I'm not a fan. Their offensive execution in Pittsburgh gives me no, confidence that they can cover this. And since it's below a field goal, I'm loving Cincy.
Nice. Good pick.
Love it. Cool.
Good luck. Good luck to
Awesome.
you guys.
Thank you.
Just wait till it
good luck
changes to
you guys.
minus 3.
Right. I don't want it to. I don't want no damn push. I need wins, baby. Wins.
3.5.
That's right. Fucking A. All right, 8-0. Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here. How about that?
Yeah,
appreciate everybody joining tonight, asking questions. We love that interaction, helping you guys out. Good luck in your matchups this week in the playoffs. We'll be back at 11:30 on Sunday for Tinker Time, asking some more or answering some more of your questions. The Week 16 rankings are on the the Week 16 rankings are on the website, stonedownsportspodcast.com. Check them out. Otherwise, is there a few comments here I'm missing? Nope. Enjoy the game. Peace, Dubo. Excellent. It's going to be a good game tonight. We'll see everybody Sunday. Thanks for joining tonight, folks. Have a great night.
See you, boys.